It's Wednesday night. You know what that means. You're tuning in to Wrestling Inc.'s YouTube, to Twitch, to talk all things AEW Dynamite and whatever else is going on in the wrestling world and whatever else is going on in the world in general, because we kind of have a little bit of a potpourri, a bag every single week as talking about whatever's interesting all of you guys. We thank you very much for joining us. I am Justin LaBar alongside my normal Wednesday night partner in crime from Forbes.com. He is Alfred Konuwa. Alfred, good to see you after a week off last week.
Great to see you too. Not a moment too soon. We had a hot show and looking good at that Super Bowl cap, Justin. I really like the style there.
Throwback to being in Dallas for your Packers beating the.
I was about to ask, do you remember who won that Super Bowl? So nice of you to mention that. Go Pack, go.
I was there. I was working it. I have a picture on the field of the Packers. I have confetti falling down. I was there for it. It was quite the memorable experience. So, absolutely. And how about this? You and I both today. We both have reassurances contractually at the quarterback position. Although yours much better than mine.
A little better. It's a little better than that. You guys will find somebody.
I mean, this is good news if you're a Taylor Heineke fan, because listen, having Carson Wentz ensures you're going to get to see the backup for a decent amount of time, because he can't stay healthy.
Those ankles will give out eventually.
Oh my God. What are they doing? I don't know what's happening.
They made a play for Russ. They tried to get Russ. It just didn't happen.
I know. The only thing I can figure is that he's only guaranteed money for one more year. I mean, but they technically have him until like 20 for 3 years. So like, if he's not doing good, they can just cut him after the first year and not hurt them, not waste anything. Or if he catches that 2017 Magic again, well, now we have that 2017 Magic at $28 million, which is a far cry from $200 million that you're paying guys like Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, he had flashes as a Colt. They really should have made the playoffs. Just that last game, it really kind of fell apart for him. But he had flashes, and if you could put that together, it'd be a steal.
All you have to do is win one of your last two, and he couldn't even do that. And he lost one of them to Tony Khan's Jaguars, which you have to be trying to throw the game if you're going to lose to the Jaguars this past season.
It was a terrible football team.
Terrible football team. Of course, we always encourage all of you to join in the live chat. The chat's like a watch party. Of course, Super Chat gets you on. Super Chat, just like our girl, $1.99. Jungle Boy will never be sponsored by Manscaped. Yes, we are sponsored tonight by Manscaped. Shout out to them. Got some very cool things to talk about that. Shout out to NYC Demon Diva. Thank you very much.
Love it's a great reference to Max Caster's line about Jungle Boy not having any pubes. So he would not be with Manscaped. Sorry, Jungle Boy.
Yeah, another controversial rap. Jungle Boy's pubes and the gas prices need to go down. That's what we're rapping
trying to get canceled at this point.
That's what we're rapping about now. That's where we're at. All right. Let's get into a little bit of news before we get into Dynamite. Let's start with an AEW piece of news, and that is that Miro has signed a long-term deal. It looks like he's going to be with the company for at least until 2026. Fightful Select reporting a 4-year deal that Miro has inked. We kind of knew that he was already sticking around. He had said recently on the Kurt Angle show that he had re-signed with AEW, but no other details were given. And again, Fightful Select gave us a little bit more. So that's good. I mean, Miro has not had a match since November. He was nursing a hamstring for a while. Word is now that he is cleared, but obviously they have so much going on. AEW does, and then people continue to come in. I'm all fine with waiting until the right creative. There's no need to just rush him back out there, Alfred. But he's certainly been one of the best stories. He's been one of the best stories coming over in terms of he starts out with the best man stuff, which everybody's kind of scratching their heads, and then he really took off as the Redeemer. So I think this is a great play by AEW. Great investment for another 4 years for Miro.
Me too. This is music to my ears. This is the second best 4-year contract I've heard of this week. The first, of course, being Aaron Rodgers re-signing for what is believed to be $200 million. We don't know the exact economics on that yet. But with Miro, I'm really glad that he's here. And I was getting a little nervous in terms of all these contracts expiring. When you saw Cody let go, it's just like, well, then at this point, they might let go of anybody in terms of if they can't pay them and meet them there. And just not being able to see Miro for the past couple of months got me a little nervous because he was doing great work the last time we saw him. And I thought the creative was there for him. And even if he is hurt or whatever the reason is for his long absence, shooting these vignettes, that's been some of the best work I've ever seen in terms of vignettes in wrestling, let alone his career. And he could have just kept doing that and I'd have been fine with it. But it's good to see that Miro's going to be back. And I can't wait to see God's favorite champion.
God's favorite champion. I still wonder, maybe it's part of the method too of picking the right timing for his return to AEW TV. Does he resurface with his wife? Is she somebody who, it looks like AEW is more and more, we're seeing more of the couples Being, obviously there was a big part of the main event tonight. Obviously, Britt and Adam Cole. I don't know. I wonder. She's a free agent technically. I mean, she's obviously not the most sound in the ring. She's just more of an attraction for her other projects she does. But I just wonder. She got a lot of heat when they were a duo. They were at the height of their the height of their heel act in WWE. So I just wonder, is there a place for her in AEW with the Redeemer? So
I think it could be a lot of fun.
We shall see. Let's jump over to NXT real quick here. NXT had the Roadblock event last night, and that viewership up from the week prior, which is always what you want to see, according to Nielsen via Showbuzz Daily. NXT Roadblock 2.0 or NXT 2.0 Roadblock drew 613,000 viewers on the USA Network. That's up 11% from last week, which was 551,000. And of course, Roadblock was anchored by the big NXT title match, where Dolph Ziggler is your new NXT champion, beating Braun Breaker. Alfred, I know there's already a Tuesday night podcast, but just here for the Wednesday night audience, what was your reaction to this?
I loved it, and I expected it. I mean, I don't know how high I am on it, because I know that Braun Breaker is a star that they really want to push. But when I saw Ziggler lose on Monday, the writing just felt like it was on the wall that Ziggler was going to win this. And I could just, looking at long term, I could see where the babyface chases and wins it, stand and deliver, and gets his title back, even though he wasn't pinned for this time around. So I just think that Dolph Ziggler's brought a spark to NXT. We were kind of praising the show last night. I think it was one of the better NXT shows, and the specialty show once again delivered to the ratings. But also, just the more veterans you have come down to NXT, this is what it should be. If you're going to have guys in the ring who are that inexperienced and need experience, you really should have guys like Dolph Ziggler go down there. And he's really been reignited, and thought they had a good match, and I'm fine with him winning that title. It finally seems like this brand has a sign of life.
Yeah, guys like Dolph, the main roster stars getting more involved in NXT. That's something that I had asked for years in the old NXT regime. Now seeing what 2.0 looks like, I can honestly say, okay, I can see why they did not have the main roster stars mingling as much with the the black and gold NXT. While it would have been cool for moments like Takeover to have an elite main event or elite main roster star main eventing a Takeover for a little bit of a rub. Again, now seeing things, I can understand why. And you're right, it makes sense. It gives a spark. It makes sense if these are the guys that Dolph Ziggler would be working on Raw or SmackDown in the future. Let's get them reps with a starter like Dolph Ziggler. So that all makes sense. And then I also wonder, Alfred, what does this mean for Braun Breaker? Is he on the fast track to Raw or SmackDown prior to Mania or night after Mania?
I think he is regardless, but I don't think that him losing this title is an indication that now he's going to get called up. I mean, I thought he looked fantastic in his Raw debut. I think it's only a matter of time. And I do think the storyline will be that he wins this NXT title back. But even if he does, I can also see him splitting time just the way that Dolph Ziggler is, for different reasons. It's weird. Dolph Ziggler comes down to NXT to kind of give the rub to Braun Breaker and kind of give him more in-ring experience in these great matches. And then Braun Breaker goes to Raw to kind of rub elbows for the same type of reason, so that people can get exposure to him. But for now, there is a fast track for him to be on Raw, regardless of what happens with this title match.
Absolutely. So yeah, I mean, it's a lot of talking points, a lot of things to to digest. We'll see. We'll see what this means. But I kind of agree. It's funny. I know Tony Khan polled the media live at after Revolution, and in the press conference, and he basically asked the media, what do you prefer? Which NXT? And then the media resoundingly said they preferred the old black and gold. But he even said, yeah, I get that, but this makes a lot more sense for what the WWE product is and for where these guys and girls are going to ultimately end up and where they're going to make their money and make their mark. So it's hard to argue with that. It's hard to argue. So I think you're right. I think I'm starting to buy in. I know it's not popular to buy into anything that's on the new look of WWE right now, but I'm starting to buy into this NXT, and nothing else. It gives me more confidence that the guys and girls that we know are eventually going to be called up. It gives me more confidence, or should I say, I have less doubts about, are they going to screw this up? Because it's going to be probably a more seamless transition of less repackaging, less rebranding. It'll be just a continuation.
Absolutely.
All right, let's jump some chats here. Corey Pride, $5. AEW sucked. Like Elvis said, wow. A little less conversation, a little more action. Can I get a Jay Lethal match?
I heard that one.
I mean, I have nothing against Jay Lethal, but Corey, I mean, I think, look, this goes back to this. This has been proven in the last 25 years with the state of pro wrestling / sports entertainment. It can't be all matches and moves. You need talking, you need drama. And I think AEW's done the right thing by introducing a little bit more of that in their program. I think they were a little bit too match heavy in terms of total time prior. I think they're finding a good balance.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with talking segments. We've talked about this before, but as long as they're good, I think people look at the Raw formula and they get disillusioned, and then they see that start to play out with AEW and just associate the two. I think just Raw's been doing it for so long that that it just kind of goes in one ear and out the other in terms of where the stories are going. But if you're able to focus and have a good story to tell, I mean, we've seen countless good talking segments over the past month, so I have no problem if it's good.
Absolutely. Do the good talking segments, talk them into buying the pay-per-view. I think Revolution's probably going to come out to be one of the best, if not the best pay-per-view buy-wise that they have done in their history. So talk about good talking segments. Got to give a cheap plug here. Wrestling Inc. YouTube, Twitch, all the channels. I hope you are subscribed to it. If you're subscribed, of course, you get the notice whenever there's going to be new content. Of course, there's Raw, there's NXT, there's AEW, there's SmackDown, there's pay-per-views, and luckily, I'm very appreciative to say it's been asked for many years. We shut it down many years ago, and through vocal fan support, and finally feeling like it was the right time because the wrestling business has evolved with the landscape and all the exciting things going on. And Raj and Wrestling Inc. were so generous to offer up a one-night takeover. I want to throw this promo out there for everybody coming up on the Wrestling Inc. channels in just 2 weeks.
Chair Shot Reality.
Chair Shot Reality for one
Night
comes back.
Be live. Oh my God. It's going to be so bad that it's good.
Hey,
there we go.
Congratulations, buddy. That was awesome. Who put that together?
Thank you.
I like that.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been since December of 2018. We did over 300 episodes over a decade, and we shut it down. And happy we're gonna come back for one night. It was a show that we, as you saw, we did for many years. We had Matt Hardy, Adam Cole, Luke Gallows, Kevin Nash, tons of in studio guests. And what I'm most excited about for this, Alfred, is that this will be the first time in all those hundreds of episodes over a decade. It was always filmed in a studio, edited, produced, and then put out over the weekend. This will be the first time in the truest sense that we are actually going to do a show completely live. Wow. I mean, we did like things in person, WrestleMania parties where we did things that we, like kind of on-site mini shows just for that audience, but this will be available to the entire world, full show live. And just like everybody is with with these podcasts, people will be able to engage, comments, and interact. So I'm really looking forward to it. Again, Thursday, March 24th, live on all across the Wrestling Inc. channels. Reunion of Chair Shot Reality, myself, Josh Eisenberg, Brian Gulish, Juice, and maybe some more surprises. So really, really looking forward to that. And thanks to all of you for continuing to ask for it to happen. So that's pretty cool.
That's really awesome. And I have been at one of those WrestleMania parties back in 2015 when it was in San Jose. And if that show, the live show, is anything like the party, it's going to be a great time because I had a phenomenal time there at the live WrestleMania party.
Thank you very much. Yeah, that was that. 31, Mania 31. 31. All right, let's get to some more super chats. Tina, I see your super chat. I'm not skipping it. I'm just going to time it up so you can help us in the conversation. A couple other ones here. A combo breaker. Excited for the return of CSR, Justin. Thank you very much. Brian Barry, Carson Wentz to Washington. What do you think? Yeah, I mean, maybe it's just as I said earlier to Alfred. Maybe it's just a 1-year thing and they can get out of it after that because of how the contract's set up. Maybe they still draft a quarterback at 11. Maybe they still draft Pickett or Malik. I don't know. I have a feeling we'll be seeing the backups quite a bit because, again, Carson Wentz just doesn't seem to stay healthy very, very often. Albert G. AEW seemed off tonight. Not a big feel to it. I disagree. I think the first hour was a banger. I think the first hour was just was a lot going on. I do think it kind of slowed up a little bit in the second hour, but we'll get into that. Let's get into it now. Let's open up here with Chris Jericho coming out. Babyface fanfare and everything to the song, as always. He talks about how he was frustrated after his loss to Eddie Kingston. That's why he didn't shake his hand. Talks about that, but he says, he respects Eddie Kingston. He wants Eddie Kingston to come on out here so he can shake his hand. Kingston comes out, and he said, he could have done his old tricks. He could have done the old things that Eddie Kingston would have done lifestyle-wise. He could have just gotten afraid, buried his feelings, buried his fears, turn to poison, turn to drinking, but instead he brought it. Talked about having people come up to him and talk about how important his honesty and his story has been to their lives. And then after beating Chris Jericho, he went back to his hotel room and he cried that night. So very powerful stuff right here. As we seem like we have this babyface mega powers moment, I wanted to bring in Tina Miller, one of our great friends of the show, in a super chat here. And Tina says, I was one of the 4 people, and Eddie did say it was 4 people. At 4 people Eddie mentioned tonight that saw him at FanFest and told him how much he helped me with my depression and dark thoughts. I love that man. He can do no wrong in my book now. So the babyface testimony right there from our super chats and friends. Thank you, Tina. And so to pick back up into it, it looks like they shake hands. It looks like maybe we have a babyface union. Maybe Daniel Garcia and 2.0, they come out. They look like they're attacking both Jericho and Kenny, or Eddie, but really they're attacking more of Eddie. Jericho just kind of gets shoved to the side, and that's key because Jericho is going to end up standing up to try to join Santana and Ortiz, who they come out to even the odds with baseball bats. Jericho grabs one of those bats, but turns, uses the bats against Santana, against Ortiz. His Inner Circle brothers are no more with him, and then uses the bat on Eddie Kingston. Here comes Jake Hager. Whose side is he on? He sides with Chris Jericho. They've been together since the very first Dynamite. And then Hager power bombs Eddie Kingston off of the apron through a table. That looked dangerous as all hell because Hager looked like he was trying not to obviously fling too much of his momentum forward so he doesn't fall off the apron. But in turn, Kingston didn't really hit the table too flush. Check it out for yourself. Jericho hops on the mic and proclaims that those standing in the ring with him are part of the new Jericho Appreciation Society. Alfred, he had to turn heel, didn't he?
He did. When I heard Judas, I kind of got a tear in my eye because I knew this is one of the, if not the last time we'll ever hear Judas. But I thought both these guys were great, but Chris Jericho was phenomenal in this segment, and it had his fingerprints all over it in terms of him playing up the babyface. Was not done in a way like when he returned, I believe it was like in 2012, and he was doing the over-the-top. He was trying to convince you that he was bested by Eddie Kingston, and he legitimately wanted to shake his hand, even down to him getting beaten up, because I was looking at 2.0 and how they quote-unquote beat up Chris Jericho. The intricacy that they had to pretend to beat him up. So it's like, even if they were beating him up, they're not beating him up, but they had to go out of their way to just kind of maybe put a knee on him. And that's when I knew, I'm like, this guy's so good, because I'm sure there's a lot of people thinking, oh, maybe they're going to hold off this heel turn because they're beating him up, but they weren't barely touching him. And in the context of him turning heel makes complete sense. So I love that. I loved Eddie Kingston shutting down that what chant where they were chanting what, and it was the most intimidating way you'll ever see somebody shut it down. He just said, my man, Steve Austin's not here. Relax. And nobody even dared to say what, because he said relax. That's how you know when somebody's got street cred, where they just tell you to relax. And okay, I better get my shit together. He didn't make any threats or anything, but he told me to relax. And so that was just well done. And I just thought the segment was a home run.
Yeah, and I'm glad you went into more depth, because that was actually the telling thing, was like, but I like that. I like the fact that when 2.0 and Daniel Garcia come out, that they don't lay a bunch of boots or whatever to Jericho. They just kind of like, again, are pretending like they're, because that's a logical thing. If you know you're all in on it, like you're not gonna, So I always, that's one of those old school wrestling things that whenever somebody does turn a line with somebody else, I'm like, well, they were just in a match a week ago and they bumped for each other. Like, that kind of makes it seem weird that they were in on it the whole time.
Yeah. So
yeah, this was good. This happened. This had to happen. This was the right thing to do, and I think you and I talked about in the past. This, and like you said, this has to be the last we hear the music. Jericho needs to purposely heal it up and not give the crowd the satisfaction of being part of that babyface entrance that it is. So Jericho Appreciation Society. It's gonna have to grow on me.
Yeah, it's a long word. They could have done some pun with Jericho and 2.0 and Y2J or something, but Jericho, it doesn't even have a good abbreviation. JAS. You can't call it anything cool.
The Jazz. Yeah. Yeah. Nothing there. We'll have to see. We'll see if it grows. Best in the smokers world. Thank you, Justin. Awesome. You're bringing back CSR. I think you meant you and Josh. You and Josh got me through tough times over a decade ago. Enjoyed meeting up at WrestleMania. Much love. Thank you very much. I'm glad you shared that. Make sure you tune in with us March 24th. Superfan Justin, please bring the Super Genius Mark Madden back for a CSR reunion. Love his segments back on CSR. Hey, all I'm gonna say, we advertise what we advertise. Tune in for anything else that might come about. Of course, you always got to tune in here to the podcast that is the Wednesday night AEW coverage, and we got to give a big thanks, of course, to our wonderful friends at Manscaped. And Manscaped, as they always are doing, setting the bar. I mean, let's give them a round of applause because, again, they are announcing a brand new ultra premium collection. You see it on your screen. Believe it or not, they're not just private parts. No. They are the leaders of below the waist. But hey, let's also trust them above the waist. That's right. 4 million men, 2 of them right here. Trust them head to toe, literally. And of course, we are going to give you 20% off and free shipping by using the code WINC. And a lot of things to talk about with Manscaped. Very exciting as always with what they're doing. WINC 20 is the code to be specific. We already know they have the lawnmower 4.0 as we talked about for that precise trim below the waist. But now you can go into your grooming routine with the ultra premium collection. Package includes their premium deodorant, not just for your balls, but also for the armpits. Deodorant dries clear, aluminum free, and smells like their signature scent. They got the hydrating body moisturizer. If you have tattoos or dry skin, this is the product for you. Skin feeling clean, smooth, and smelling fresh. I am a candidate for this, and I can attest to that. Body wash, lather you up with that wonderful, that aloe vera and sea salt shower gel, 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner, plus a free gift, a 3-pack set of lip balms that's made with ingredients such as vitamin E, peppermint, and eucalyptus oil to keep those chappers feeling moist. That's 4 products plus a gift inside of the new ultra premium package. What a score! All of these products are cruelty-free, vegan-friendly, and dye-free, so you can feel good about what you're using. No compromise needed here. Getting dressed after, of course, is optional. Wear 1 cent all day long. Get that ultra premium collection hot off the shelves. Again, manscaped.com. 20% is what you can save, plus free shipping. All you got to do is punch in that code WINC20. As always, Alfred, I mean, we're both fans. All we got to thank Manscaped for all the products they're putting out.
Love Manscaped. Jungle Boy's missing out, man. He's going to need to get some Rogaine down there just to grow there so that he can feel the experience of being Manscaped, because you're not a man until you're Manscaped. He will not be Jungle Man until he gets Manscaped.
He will always be the Jungle Boy.
He'll always be a boy without Manscaped, man.
I like
Got to
it.
do something down there.
I like that. All right. Well, we thank Manscaped. We thank Jungle Boy for bringing some joy to our Manscaped promotion. All right, let's get back into AEW Dynamite. First match up we get is a AEW World Title match. Alfred, we get Dante Martin up against Hangman Page. Hangman Page gets the win, but certainly they give Dante Martin his share of offense and shine. Buckshot Lariat is going to do it for Hangman to get the win. Promo interview afterwards with Tony Schiavone. He calls Dante back to the ring, Hangman does, and he says, look, this has been a hell of a year for you. Your brother gets hurt. You kind of are put in the situation of having to have a singles career, and you've adapted. I will gladly, once you earn your way back to this spot, I would gladly have another world title match with you. Really puts over Dante Martin, a big moment here. And then that's all interrupted by Adam Cole, who comes out and says it was a lucky fluke win by Hangman Page against Adam Cole. And he says, next time you won't be so lucky. Cole challenges him to a 6-man tag match next week on Dynamite and does say he is not going to stop until he is AEW World Champion. So Hangman Page and Adam Cole far from over. Does this surprise you, or did you assume after Sunday this had to continue?
It kind of does surprise me, but now looking back on it, the fact that the Young Bucks didn't get involved in the main event, and that's pretty much the ace in the hole that they have to play, is what's going to happen when the Young Bucks have to choose between Hangman Adam Page and Adam Cole. And the fact that did not play out at Revolution made me think, well, maybe they're going to do another match. So most of me thought that they were going to just move on, which I think they really should. I thought they had a great match, but I thought it was time to move on. But if they're going to hang on to tell that story, I'm fine with it, because I think the crowd's really going to invest in an elite reunion. But I thought it was really good what they did with Dante. AEW is very good at doing this with younger stars who aren't ready yet. They did this with Sammy Guevara before he started winning against Cody Rhodes. Same thing with Darby Allin in terms of he lost this time, but Hangman Adam Page went out of his way like a true babyface champion to put this guy over. I thought that was really cool. It's like his farewell to the singles division, because now he's back with his brother. Good
call. Good way to shape that. I didn't really even frame it that way in my mind, but that makes total sense. Yeah, I don't think this feud can be over with Page and Cole until Cole is world champion. Cole is just such an electric personality. Yeah, they still have him on the heel side of things, and that it is what it is. And AEW certainly does not mind shades of gray where they let this guy still play to the crowd and have an interactive entrance. But it's going to get eventually to the point where he's going to have to be world champion. I don't think you can stop that. And I think really, Tony Khan put so much value on Adam Cole. He said several times how Adam Cole was like the one guy that he was afraid afraid of on the Wednesday night battle against NXT, the one guy that he thought could really move the needle and challenge AEW, and now he has him. So I think in my mind, Tony Khan realizes he has a certain amount of dream matches that he can put out there. I think in his mind, a dream match is one generation to another, and that is a CM Punk versus Adam Cole over that AEW World Title.
Yeah, we're seeing this in a couple of divisions where if you book forward, you can see a title change because of where they're ultimately going to go. CM Punk did the gesture of he wants the title. So I just think All Out is the destination for CM Punk to win that title. And would it be a better story if it's this babyface versus babyface thing with Hangman Adam Page? Or is it better with this super heel with Adam Cole, who's going to have a head of steam as a heel? And I think you could really do something with that belt in a couple of months, even if it is a short reign relatively for AEW. I think he could be a real good heel headed into a match with CM Punk, superior to Hangman Adam Page and CM Punk. And the other situation we'll get into later. But yeah, I could definitely see Adam Cole winning this title.
Yeah, and I think you're right. I think having it, waiting until the September pay-per-view and having it in Chicago, presumably where Punk, I think that is the right moment. But I think up against a heel and Adam Cole, who the people he will garner heat, but it'll still be an electric reaction just to have those two, staring off at each other. So it's gonna be an interesting year ahead here with AEW, and of course, that's just what the landscape is right now, and it's ever changing every single week in terms of personnel situation and everything else. By the way, because I saw some people mention this, just talk again. The speculation still remains out there. What's Cody Rhodes' future? Did you notice tonight? I took a special notice to it. They ran the promos for the Go Big Show. They are definitely edited far different than they were just a few weeks ago, in the sense of like there's no sound bites of Cody at all. The sound bites are all T-Pain and Jennifer Nettles, and you only see Cody if they cut to like the wide shot reactions as they're teasing. They definitely, the network definitely made a conscious decision to reshape and repackage and re-edit these commercials for Go Big Show.
Very interesting. I'm surprised they don't like superimpose like Darby Allin's face on Cody. Just try to get that last mileage out of the show.
Yeah, right. All right, up next, it's the first tag match of the new tag team union that is of Jon Moxley and Bryan Danielson with William Regal in their corner. They're going to go up against the Workhorsemen here. This is going to be Bryan getting the win for them after he hits some stomps on the head and then locks in that crossface submission. Real story here is the promo afterwards where William Regal speaks. William Regal, this was very interesting to hear him speak, Alfred, because I felt like this was, when he was in WCW, he was Lord Steven Regal, and he was a, fringe mid-carder, played the royal blue blood gimmick. Yeah, so he's just speaking in that gimmick. And then even in WWE, he did a lot of talking over his years in WWE. He'd been a general manager. He was the on-screen authority figure for NXT, but never really had long form speaking. And again, he always had like a certain character to speak at. Tonight, it felt like we got 5 minutes of a William Regal shoot interview to a certain degree.
Yeah,
he spoke on. Yeah, yes, it was. It was there. Yeah, this was the man behind William Regal. First off, he puts over praise to Tony Schiavone, saying that they've known each other for 29 years since he first came over to the U.S. and they were on TBS together. Talked about how Tony Schiavone helped him when he had no money, knew nobody, didn't know what he was doing in the country. So puts over Tony Schiavone, a very real moment, and then proceeds to cut into the promo of how AEW, his interest got piqued when Bryan Danielson started mentioning his name, and he loves making pro wrestlers better. He talks about the training regimen and growth that he had with Bryan Danielson 20 years ago. Talks about Bryan Danielson, said Bryan Danielson is the perfect wrestler. Says Bryan Danielson is the wrestler that went out and traveled the world and did things that Regal wishes he could have done. And then what was stopping him was his issues. Maybe battles of addiction, personal life, what have you, stopped him from fulfilling his full potential. He sees Bryan as kind of like doing that. He's kind of living vicariously through Bryan Danielson, the wrestler. And then he turns to Jon Moxley and says they met 11 years ago, and the psychological torture and games they put each other through would make the devil cry. So William Regal pieces it all together, why he has connection to both of these men, really puts over Bryan Danielson exceptionally. And again, kind of just gave us it felt like Tony Khan said, go out there, use as much time as you need. We'll adapt after that. That's what it felt like.
Yes, absolutely. It felt like that because, and especially after these segments, you would see some segments get cut short, presumably. And he did just seem like he had carte blanche to say whatever he wanted. That's what this came off as. It came off as a very real speech and promo. He maybe could have tightened it up a little bit, but I thought it was really good for how real it felt. I felt like the crowd was really kind of hanging on. and it really felt like they were part of something special. So I thought he was good, and he got a little emotional. This was a very well done promo to kind of put these guys over as baby faces. My question is, though, originally the plan seemed to be it was going to be Bryan Danielson and Jon Moxley tutoring Wheeler Yuta, Lee Moriarty, and then Daniel Garcia. Well, Garcia's now with Jericho, so I think he kind of leveled up there. So it doesn't look like they're going that direction at all, really. It looks like they're going to just do this as a tag team with William Regal.
I would agree. You know, Regal did sign off. He finished his promo kind of warning everyone who steps in the ring with him either step up or get stepped on. So they might still try it to have an the theme might still be Danielson and Moxley trying to elevate through tough love and blood the no pun intended, the young bucks of the locker room, the young talent. But I agree. I think they definitely called an audible. Who knows when Regal and Tony Khan came to an agreement and the idea to do this. But I agree. I think they are shifting a little bit, and rightfully so. If you have William Regal, and I think really, it's great to see William Regal on screen. But I think when it's all said and done, I think we're gonna, as the Ring of Honor has been relaunched with Tony Khan, I think we're gonna find William Regal to be. I think William Regal is going to turn into like Tony Khan's Pat Patterson. I think William Regal is going to find himself in a great deal of influence and power. Under the Tony Khan Productions, whether he's the guy that's running ROH tapings, whether he does help on the creative scouting, all of the above, I think we're going to come to find that William Regal is going to be a huge part of Tony Khan's wrestling ambitions moving forward.
I could definitely see Regal being heavily involved with ROH. I think that's one of the chief reasons he's here is to pretty much be Tony Khan's eyes and ears because he offers so much. There's nobody in wrestling more qualified to run ROH as an underling to Tony Khan than William Regal. That's essentially his job when he was with NXT with Triple H.
Absolutely. All right, you mentioned Wheeler Yuta. We get Wheeler Yuta versus Pac. Pac's going to get the win. Brutalizer submission here. Again, I like the visual of Pac. I like the visual of the new reborn Penta. Yeah, I mean, not much more to say here. I will say I made a note, and I know AEW doesn't make as big of a deal about this. It was two grounded submission holds in a row as the finishers. I know in the WWE world that's like a no-no. We don't want to be too redundant. It caught my attention. I don't know if it matters. It's one of Pac's finishers, but otherwise, good showing. Pac looks good. Glad to see him back. But nothing much else to take away from this, really.
Yeah, not really. It's good to see him back in singles action.
Yeah. Good to see him in singles action. We get backstage. Adam Cole looks like we thought we knew that Adam Cole was going to have the Young Bucks as partner. The Young Bucks don't want to have. They don't really want to get involved in this thing with Adam Page, Hangman Page. So Adam Cole quickly pivots and no, it's going to be Red Dragon. It's going to be his partner. So we continue this. Adam Cole stuck in the middle between old lovers and new lovers. Any long-term prediction for how this is eventually going to pan out?
Yeah, I think it's eventually going to pan out with the Young Bucks going with Hangman Adam Page and Adam Cole going off with Red Dragon and tension between the Young Bucks and Adam Cole. I think we're headed toward a split with them. A lot of splits on this show, or a lot of betrayals and tensions of betrayals on this show.
And another one of this, FTR fires Tully Blanchard. I didn't see this one coming.
Yeah, this was a TNA segment. This reminded me of TNA. Where it's this big angle where these guys have been together for so long. And you're fired. Well, we got to go to the next segment. It's like, wait a minute. Can I sink in? Like, this deserved to be in front of people. I think this is a big enough moment. And they just fired him out of nowhere and moved on.
So if they fired Tully, then the next question naturally is there somebody that AEW is looking to replace Tully with for FTR? Or is there somebody they're looking to put Tully with otherwise?
They've been really putting over Bret Hart recently. I don't know. I'm not saying that would be it, but I just noticed an abundance of Bret Hart love. And they usually do this, especially Dax Harwood. It's one of his heroes. But I've noticed a lot on his timeline really shouting out Bret Hart, and curiously so. So that might be an option. Who knows? Who knows what the contract situation is there. But maybe I expect them to replace Tully with somebody else. I think they found somebody.
Yeah, I mean, FTR is such an old school tag team. It makes sense that they have an old school person in their corner. And, look, it's interesting you mentioned Bret. I don't know what the contract situation with WWE is either, but we're getting ready to approach the Owen Hart Classic.
Yes.
And it's kind of like, how do you obviously Bret was part of that inaugural event that was technically before AEW was a thing. Was that the first event, or was AEW already?
I think it was AEW's first pay-per-view at Double or Nothing. Bret Hart revealed the AEW World
The
Championship.
title. Okay, so all right, so yeah, so he has. I mean, so who knows? I mean, you think if you have an Owen tournament that Brett's gonna show his face at some point. You think, but again, we don't know what's allowed with his situation with WWE. So
Right.
yeah, a lot of TV fan. If Khan hired Cornette, Omega would quit on the spot. Wondering if Jim Cornette would be FTR's. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to make of that one.
They got CM Punk and Colt Cabana in the same promotion. They could have Jim Cornette and Kenny Omega. It's mostly a Twitter feud. They can get over it. They're grown men.
People saying Arn Anderson.
I'd like that.
I mean, yeah, he doesn't have Cody anymore, so
I'd actually love that.
Yeah, I can get behind that. I just want FTR to, they've almost embraced fully the old school, tag team feel. All they're missing is fanny packs and Ribera jackets, and I think it would complete the ensemble. Sam Austin, any word on Omega's ETA? Which arc does he insert? I don't know what his ETA is. I know he's been nursing and getting some well-deserved time off after, really being a workhorse for that company and working hurt for a while. So, and let's be frank, this is nothing against Omega, and I know the Omega fan base is going to go nuts. I don't think they need Omega right now. Omega's fine. He compliments whatever, but I don't think that Omega is going to move any big needle right now, and no more than what some of the other names that we're getting ready to get into that are there now are doing. So let the guy rest.
That'll be interesting. I think he'll come back to possibly reunite with the Young Bucks and Hangman Adam Page, so the Elite is a full thing. But it seems like he might go the heel direction because Don Callis came out and kind of teased that he was coming back. So it'll be interesting whether they even have him as a babyface or a heel.
Yeah. Okay, we as we're transitioning into hour number 2, we got a big crossover segment here. As the time switches, we have an emergency board meeting with the Andrade Hardy family office. Hardy says, okay, let's take a vote. He's almost positive that his kids, Private Party, are not going to vote him out. They initially put the thumbs up, but then they do the old thumbs down. They all attack Matt Hardy. Numbers, of course, outnumbering Matt Hardy. Crowds at a fever pitch, waiting for some help. Darby Allin and Sting come out. They come out. Crowd welcomes it, but still outnumbered. And then you hear the music. And out... both in a panic to save his brother who's getting choked, but also must get his shit in. Jeff Hardy is out, gyrating while jogging at the same time to the ring to an exceptionally loud pop from Fort Myers, Florida. Quite the moment here as Jeff Hardy and company clean house. We get a twist of fate followed by a on-the-money Swanton Bomb. And if you didn't think AEW's tag division was any deeper, add the Hardy Boys to it.
Fantastic. It was a rare occasion, I believe the second time this has ever happened in AEW, where a wrestler brought his WWE theme to AEW because he came out to that old school Hardy music. So I'm very interested to see, did WWE let that lapse to where AEW was able to purchase it? Did AEW purchase that from WWE? What happened in terms of the rights and royalties of the old school Hardy Boys theme? I'd love to know behind that in terms of ownership and stuff like that. But
so,
I mean, I thought, yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead, finish on.
No, if you had like an update in terms of the music?
Well, so this is something I was thinking about for days as we kind of thought that maybe Jeff was showing up because Jeff technically became a free agent as of today. WWE never owned that music. They never owned it. That music was part of a generic, low cost to low cost royalty to buy. That music has been used on, motocross.
I remember on UPN used to use it for a bunch of stuff now that I think about it.
Yeah, radio stations have had it as bed music to use for if you need like a high octane commercial that you need a voice, motocross and rural, again, high octane. Same thing with and there was I want to say Sean at Fightful also kind of noted this too, so I don't want to not acknowledge that, but this is kind of somewhat public knowledge. So that music and plus the music they would use for Hardcore Holly, that music, they added the Hardcore Holly sting at the start of it with him saying, "How do you like me now?" But the music itself was something they basically just was a low cost purchase, so they never actually owned exclusive rights to it. So that kind of is a little perfect thing that falls in the lap not just AEW but anybody else who wants to have the Hardys. You can use that music that has become so iconic and synonymous with them, played at WrestleMania, but you can use it and not have to fight WWE or owe WWE anything. So that's a great one more thing of this whole Jeff Hardy saga that has just been just a gift just given to AEW.
You talk about there's never been more bang for your buck in terms of a royalty song where people just went crazy for this. And I thought you'll never hear a more tepid reaction to Darby Allin's theme than when these people were clamoring for Jeff Hardy to come out. And then you heard Darby, he usually gets an enormous pop, but it was just like the most polite, like, okay, we'll take him if that's what this segment is. All right, whatever. And then the kind of even more of a misdirection for Hardy. So I thought this was well done.
And quite honestly, it always surprised me. I've talked to Matt and Jeff about this over the years. It kind of surprised me that, like, when that music started with the Hardys, they were still on their rise. This is pre TLC fame. Once they became established, I am always surprised that Vince did not say, "Okay, Jim Johnson, you got to write them something new, and we need something that we can own." For 20 years, he's just allowed this. Maybe he thought, because pretty much the Hardys became a big deal right as WCW and ECW went away. So maybe he just figured there's never going to be competition that's ever equal to me again, that I'm gonna have to worry about the Hardy Boys using. Maybe it's just something. I'm sure that's not Vince's number one thing he thinks about waking up every morning is the Hardys music. But it always surprised me that he did not have Jim Johnson and crew make something new that WWE owned and that they could brand as the Hardys. They branded Matt's singles music when he turned single and he was the Matt Fax and everything, but never as the Hardy Boys as the tag team. So we'll see. Cheap plug, if you want to see the Hardy Boys and you want to get to Western PA, myself with IWC Wrestling and our joint show with Northeast Wrestling, we will have the Hardy Boys live in action and for a meet and greet just outside of Pittsburgh, Ross Draver Ice Gardens on Saturday, April 30th. You can hit me up if you want ticket information. Go to iwcwrestling.com, look on my Twitter. But we have the Hardy Boys coming, so you'll be able to come see them live and up close and in person if you are willing to get to Western PA.
Awesome, great timing.
Yeah, perfect timing. Falls in our lap. Last time we had them was a couple years ago, 5 days after they showed up at WrestleMania. And boy, that was a legal conversation that was one for my book.
I can imagine.
Yes. All right, up next, Wardlow out there with Tony Schiavone. Wants to get the scoop. Where is Wardlow stand these days? We saw what he did, not helping MJF against CM Punk. Wardlow comes out and he says, look, he talks about his background, talks about growing up, not having any money, his, mother raising him and his sisters. And he thought that opportunity was what he was going to get being Max, working for MJF. He thought that this would be where he gets to unleash and the world gets to see him. He ended up spending all of his time making sure that MJF accomplished what he wants. He does note and acknowledge that MJF got him in the door, got him paid. He is still under contract with MJF, but he doesn't give a damn anymore. He wants Max to just go ahead, release him. No harm, no foul, no power bombs, nothing. Release him. We'll look the other way. Never speak of it again. So we will see what the future holds. What we do know is Wardlow is going to have a TNT title match against the winner of our main event. He's going to have that match next week in San Antonio. So things moving fast here for Wardlow. Corey Pry, $2.
G2G has got to go.
Got to go for we got a black champ because of Big Swole, question mark.
It was a great moment. I don't think it was because of Big Swole. We're about to get into it. I'll tell you exactly why I think it was.
I have a feeling you and I don't have the same reason why it was.
It was a great moment, though. Shout out to Scorpio Sky. We'll have a lot to talk about.
Keith Lee backstage. He turns down QT Marshall's offer, noting they both have common enemies in Team Taz. QT Marshall says he and the factory would be happy to watch Keith Lee's back. Keith Lee responds, I got a big enough back already.
Love it.
So that's that. All right, Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy up against the Acclaim. Of course, we noted the Max Caster rap talking about Jungle Boy and his manscaping needs or lack thereof. But Jungle Boy does still get the win here. Title defense and retain for Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus. Any takeaways?
I thought the match was pretty good at that. Bowens is getting better every week.
Yeah.
I mean, he looked excellent, and Jungle Boy's had a hot week. I think Jungle Boy's really starting to improve in leaps and bounds.
At some point, Jungle Boy's going to have to break away and be a single star.
Yes.
At some point. Layla Hirsch, she's ranked number 1 up against number 2, Thunder Rosa. Winner is going to get to take on Dr. Britt Baker for the TBS title. Layla Hirsch, I like the background in her story. I really am a fan of Thunder Rosa. I don't know. This match didn't quite hit it for me.
Mm-mm. No, and I love Layla Hirsch. I see a future in her. And when they were doing those matches where she was just really only doing suplexes and keeping it very basic, I thought they were doing a good job of hiding her flaws. But this was a little bit too ambitious for her. And I think that they really kind of need to go back to basics with Hirsch, because she had a match with Chris Statlander that I didn't think was all that great. And I don't blame Statlander for it. I just think they're starting to be a little bit too ambitious and put too much on her plate.
And this might sound nitpicky, but I don't think it qualifies as nitpicky because AEW prides themselves so much on their legitimacy of keeping records and rankings. If Layla Hirsch is number one and Thunder Rosa number two, why does Layla Hirsch have to fight Thunder Rosa? If once you reach number one, doesn't that mean the only other person you need to fight is the champion?
Absolutely.
So, I mean, obviously it's because they want Thunder Rosa to be the challenger, which she ends up winning. She hits a Thunder Driver. Red Velvet comes out and stops Layla Hirsch from cheating using the turnbuckle. I mean, it makes sense. Thunder Rosa is the bigger name. There's history. It was 1 year ago that she had the lights out match with Britt. They're in San Antonio next week, so that's Thunder Rosa's stomping ground. So it makes total sense, and I guess that's why they just went this way, because they had to. But like, it is weird. You just have a match on pay-per-view. She doesn't come up with the title, but then she gets gets to redeem herself here. And that's basically what Britt says. Britt, in a quick promo after the match, says, why don't you go to the back of the line? She basically calls out what I just said. She just calls out AEW's lack of logic of why this is happening. I'm actually a little bit surprised they let her say that.
Well, this is not the first time she's done this, by the way, and not the first time she's been right doing this, because she was calling them out in terms of her being number one, and I felt like they weren't giving her something, but she was able to point a huge hole throughout that ranking. So.
Yeah. So next week in San Antonio, Britt's going to defend her TBS title against Thunder Rosa inside of a steel cage. So that will be something to watch. So like next week's Dynamite quickly adding up to be quite the attraction. Want to acknowledge the chat room as they're still on some past topics. TV Fan 365 says 39 minutes ago, Dax Harwood tweeted, Brett, what are you up to?
I'm telling you, I've been seeing it for a couple weeks now, where pretty much every one of his tweets has been about Bret Hart for the past couple of weeks. And I even think that thing he did with Renee when he was talking about how much he didn't like Shawn Michaels, I think even that was part of this whole grand plan to say, I'm Team Bret, not Shawn. I think Dax is a pro who knows what he's doing.
Yeah. So we'll keep an eye on that. I mean, again, like I said, the Owen thing, I can't get past the Owen thing. I can't imagine that Bret's not going to somehow be able to be there and endorse that. Yeah. All right, main event time. TNT title defense from champion Sammy Guevara versus Scorpio Sky. Sky, of course, has Dan Lambert and company out there with him. This match is what it is until we get to the big crash and burn. Sammy tries to hit the 630 senton on Sky on the table. Sky moves. So it is just a crash and burn of Sammy hits the floor. The bump looks brutal. It was obviously planned that he takes this bump. They use this as the picture-in-picture commercial break for us to watch. Him just selling, all the refs out there, the docs out there, his real-life fiance, Ty Conti, she's out there, just selling this whole thing. Obviously, just as they come back from commercial, Sammy pulls the old Mick Foley. He's going to come on back. He's got more guts than brains. Gets in it. And then finally, Ty Conti, she's going to out there. She's going to stop Ethan Page, who tries to help cheat and distraction. Paige Van Zant's ringside. She gets in the face of Ty Conti. Ultimately, through all the hoopla and shenanigans, Scorpio Sky is going to hit the TKO. He's going to get the victory. He is your new TNT champion. Scorpio Sky is the first to be able to say he has held both the AEW TNT title and he has been an AEW tag champion. So that's something for the history books. And Paige Van Zant proceeds to sign the contract on Ty Conti's ass, and she is now all elite with AEW. So a lot to unpack here, Alfred. Why did Scorpio Sky win the TNT title?
Well, I'm glad you asked. First off, I thought this was a great moment, really. Shout out to that black man. It's good to see that history go down in the main event of AEW Dynamite. I had a feeling the second he walked out, the new theme music and even fantasy booking the future, I had a feeling that he was going to win this match. And I think it's because Wardlow is getting fed that TNT championship and he needs a heel. And Wardlow versus Sammy Guevara, who's already over as a babyface and is half his size. It's the reason that the Hulk Hogan didn't want to work Bret Hart at WrestleMania 9 is that he's getting booed and he's not going to get over as this monster babyface they want him to be. So, he's going to be set up as a heel to be fed to Wardlow. 13 matches in 364 days, but when they really wanted to heat this guy up, they did it in short order, and I thought they'd done a good job with Scorpio Sky, but I don't think this is going to last. But it'll be fun while it does.
Yeah, this is the definition of transitional champion.
Yes.
And yeah, look, Wardlow, he can, he's got Scorpio Sky, he's got all Ego Ethan Page, he's got Dan Lambert, he's got the ability just to have the gauntlet thrown at him and overcome it. I fully expect that to be the main event. Well, I mean, I guess the women's match could be also, but I would put more of my stock on this being the main event next week for Dynamite. Yeah, but again, it is still what it is for Scorpio Sky. You can't take the win away from him. You can't take the accolade away from him of being the first, ever to be TNT champion and hold the tag title as well. So, but yeah, this was definitely a setup, I think, for next week. And obviously, selfishly as a Wardlow person, I'm okay with it. And as they continue to acquire talent, and there's all the looks of where's Jay Lethal, where's this guy, where's this. Wardlow has been a consistency. They have made a point to carve out 3 minutes if that's what they need for him to have a squash match. They obviously have a consistent continuity plan to, strap a title to him. That's been the plan, and they're sticking with it. And so I'm not surprised. I'm okay with it. And I thought this actually main event kind of surpassed my expectation because even when I looked at this match going into tonight, I was just like, again, it'll be a good match, but with all the other things that we might have here, Jericho Kingston, inevitable Jeff Hardy show. Like, is this going to live up to being what anchors the show in main events? And I thought that it did live up to a good main event positioned match and segment for the business that got done.
Did a good job creating drama around it. I thought it was very good. And in long-term storytelling, in terms of Wardlow referencing that contract, he did say he's still under contract. And so you could expect that if he wins that TNT title, MJF will have a championship celebration or will feel entitled to going back on his word and saying that he is contractually obliged. And that's where it might blow up.
And look, you and I are quick to say Scorpio Sky, transitional champ. The MJF factor could be that. The MJF and company could cost Wardlow.
Sure.
To get that heat on, more heat on them and to get back to Wardlow feuding with MJF, obviously you need a payoff match eventually. So it might look like, as I just said, Wardlow, they've carved out time for Wardlow to be booked. It looks like he's going to get it. It might not be. It might be where Scorpio Sky gets saved, by a whole lot of help and goes on and actually has a longer title reign than we're anticipating. That is very possible. I'm not going to put my money on that, but I also, if it happens, I don't think it's a bad booking decision. I think it would actually just, fuel the fire between MJF and Wardlow. And, what's the difference of Wardlow getting a title now or 6 months later?
Yeah, and they're actually building a lot of energy around Scorpio Sky. It's not just the guy that they plucked that they needed. They're actually giving him Dan Lambert, who's arguably the best talker in AEW. Paige Van Zandt is a big crossover star in terms of somebody who's a proven pay-per-view draw with UFC, and now comes over to AEW, and she's going to be part of that stable. So Scorpio Sky as a champion could be a real thing. It could be effective if they allow this guy to run with this title.
Absolutely. So that was your AEW Dynamite tonight from Fort Myers, Florida. A pretty good show. Again, a lot to build to next week, which is they're always good at that. You always will leave Dynamite knowing some things to look forward to the following week. They're very good at always having a plan for the following week. So a lot to look forward to. Again, 2 title matches right there. One of them being a women's match in the cage. A lot to try to predict, and of course we'll digest all of it here on Wrestling Inc. next Wednesday night. Alfred, what else you got going on in your world?
Well, I've got some coverage on Forbes of the AEW Dynamite show tonight, and a new bit, Pro Wrestling Bit, YouTube Pro Wrestling Bits about Isaiah or Shane Swerve Strickland, should I say, coming to AEW. Some thoughts on that. Really excited to see him there, but we'll see how far they take him.
And he's making his debut in the ring on Rampage Friday against Tony Nese.
Should be a great match.
Yes, two former. Well, was Swerve ever 205 Live? I know he's NXT. Did he ever make 205?
Tony Nese is in 205 Live, but I don't think Swerve ever went to 205 Live. I think he was always NXT. Yeah, he was NXT from day one. Took him 2 months to win the NXT North American title.
So two guys very talented. Formerly under Stanford contract.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes. All right. So again, a lot going on. Again, make sure you check out Wrestling Inc. So much news. It feels like it's nonstop happening every single day. Again, these podcasts every single night. There's a new podcast here. So make sure you subscribe, leave a comment, share, tell a friend. The simplest, most old-fashioned thing. Just tell a friend. If you know any friend who is into WWE, into AEW, whatever, to say, hey, have you tried Wrestling Inc? Have you ever watched their stuff? Name drop some of us and turn them on, because obviously if they watch these chats, they can see it's a sense of community. They can see people have their favorites. Some of them don't like some of us, and that's all the same, just as fun. That's fine too. Just keep it fair. So again, share, tell a friend, do what you got to do. Make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Inc. All kinds of stuff going on between news and podcasts. Alfred and I will be back next Wednesday night as we digest what is going to be a big Dynamite from San Antonio, Texas. Thanks to Manscaped. Thanks to all of you. Again, cheap plug, March 24th, one night only on Wrestling Inc. Chair Shot Reality coming back. It's going to be fun there. Alfred, have a good week. I look forward to next week here on